Welcome everybody to the worldsgonemad.net tech video. Today's video has to do with repair on an Xbox One controller left thumbstick. First, I'd like to say that this video is for informational purposes only. We are not condoning the use of this video to do this repair on your own. If you choose to do anything you see in this video, you are absolutely on your own. We take absolutely no responsibility for your actions. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is get our pry tool. And what we want to do is once we flip the controller over, we're going to stick it in the crevice of the upper part of the controller and the cover on the left or right side. And we're slowly going to just pry the cover up away from the controller. And it's basically going to pop off at one point. You do right or left or right. It doesn't matter which one you do first. They both have to come off to gain access to the two screws that are on each side. Just take your time doing this. You don't really want to break these covers. I can't find any replacements for them. So just take your time doing this. The next part we're doing is in the battery compartment underneath the sticker, there is a screw. So we need to remove this sticker. You can just dig right through the sticker, but we're kind of anal, so we decided we wanted to peel the sticker back nice and easy so we could place it back to where we got it. So just peel one of the corners away. We're using an X-Acto knife here to peel one of the corners away. And once we got enough of the sticker away from the controller, we were able to get our fingers in there and just peel back on the sticker and removing it and putting it to the side. This way we have it and we could replace it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is remove these 5 T8 screws that are on the bottom of the controller, allowing us to gain further access into the circuit board where we have to desolder the pod. So we'll speed this through here. It's just basically 5 T8 screws that are holding the bottom and top covers together. Once we remove those, we'll be able to just pop the bottom cover off, and then we'll peel the top cover off, as you see now. And then we're going to remove the thumbsticks. Okay, as you can see from the picture, there's 14 contacts or 14 pads that must be desoldered in order to remove the pod from the circuit board. What we're going to use is our solder wick. You could get this from any kind of online electronics store. If you have a Radio Shack that is still open near you, you could find it in Radio Shack. You might be able to find it in some of the big box stores like Lowe's or Home Depot. It depends. Also, I use a flux pen. If you have liquid flux, that's good too. I like to put the flux onto the solder wick. And also I use flux on the solder joints. This way it allows them to melt and it allows the solder to flow onto the wick once I start heating it up. Doesn't require a lot. All you need to do is just put a little bit on each joint. All 14 of them, you just want to get them all just a little prepped. This way when you get your soldering iron on there, you'll be able to just do it all in one shot. You need to be careful here because in between those pads there is some small resistors. The solder wick gets extremely hot from the soldering iron. So if you're holding it too close to the tip of the soldering iron, you will burn your fingers. So try to keep your distance. And just take your time doing this. Don't overheat up one of the areas too much. Try to heat up a pad. You'll see the solder just sucking up right into the wick. Okay, if we did everything correct, the stick should just come out on the other side. It might require a little bit of a pull, but it should just come right out. This is the new replacement part. It's black and gray. It doesn't make a difference. They could be a different color. It just depends on where you order it from. The one thing to look at is the original Microsoft stick, which is the green, grayish white one here. You will notice that the bottom is fairly flat. On the new part that I ordered, this is the first set I've seen this on, had these two little kind of dimples or protrusions that stick out in the center. And if you leave those on, you will not be able to solder this thing properly back on the circuit board. So we have to trim those two little things off so this piece sits flat on the circuit board. Basically, just going to take our X-Acto knife and just slowly trim those little pieces off. And once we get them off, we'll be able to place the part back on the circuit board and get a nice flush fit. It really doesn't take a long time to do it. They come off extremely easy with a sharp X-Acto knife. Just be careful you don't cut yourself. Okay, once we remove those two tabs, we'll place our part back on the circuit board. There's only one way it will go on. You want to give it a nice firm press, making sure that it sits properly on the circuit board. Want to make sure that every pin has come through on its proper hole on the circuit board prior to soldering it. Just give it a good look. You should be able to see it with no problem. Just giving it a firm press, making sure it stays in place. And what we'll do next is just take our time. We're just going to solder the piece on. Okay, now we're going to go back in and we're going to resolder the new stick onto the board. It doesn't take a lot of solder to do these joints. They're very small. Just remember you have 14 of them. Make sure they're all properly done. Take your time. Go around. Make sure you get all 14 of them done, that they have nice, proper solder joints. Once we've finished all our solder joints, take a look at your circuit board, making sure that every joint is properly soldered, making sure that there's no overflow from one pad to another. If you did that, you would have a short, which would cause your controller not to operate. Once you're satisfied with your work, you may use some alcohol on a prep or swab to clean the excess flux off the area. If you use a non-corrosive flux, then you don't have to worry about that. You just leave it as be. Final step in this is to reassemble the controller. So we're going to flip it over. Again, trying to make sure the motors don't fall from the controller and we break the wires. Basically going to replace the thumbsticks back into their place. They have little cutouts as the way they fit onto these. So just take a look at them, see exactly how they're going to go on, line it up, and just push it into place. get one, and then we'll do the other one. Then we'll put the top cover back on the controller. At this point, then we no longer have to worry about the rumble motors falling. They'll be held in place. We'll flip it over. And now we're going to place the bottom cover back on. When placing the bottom cover back on, we're going to speed it up a little for time constraint. But when placing the back cover back on, make sure you don't pinch any of your triggers and you jam them, because then they won't function properly. So when you put your controller back onto the main part, just take your time, align everything up properly. Once you have it all in place, then we'll go on in and we'll put our 5 screws back in, and we'll close this up. One thing that we did do, you'll see here after I get these 5 screws in, what we have here is we use an old toothbrush, and we're going to use it to clean the edges around the plastic, around the seam where the covers attach onto the main frame. That's where you get a lot of dirt from your hands, grease and stuff that just builds up and it cakes on around the edges. So we just take an old toothbrush and just go around the edges, getting some of that crud off, getting it off the covers. This way we have it nice and clean. We're going to snap these back on. Get that one, and then the next one. Next thing, we'll put our sticker back in, and we'll throw some batteries in there, throw our cover, and there it is. It's back up and working. Thank you for watching this video from worldsgonemad.net. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a like on YouTube. We'll see you soon.